The Hakai technique. We've seen it used throughout Dragon Ball Super, first to erase Merge Zamasu, and then again in episode 91 as God of Destruction Sidra erased an entire city with Hakai. And then we saw it again in episode 95 as the Hakai energy from God of Destruction Sidra was used against Frieza and Goku. It can also paralyze as well as erase. Then in episode 125, we saw it inflict critical damage on Frieza. However, it did not paralyze or erase or destroy him at all. He was able to survive through it. As Vegeta in episode 126 challenged Toppo, he fired a final flash, and Toppo was basically able to negate all of that final flash just by creating a Hakai death ball. Toppo didn't even really seem to be trying here, and the entirety of the final flash just got simply absorbed and erased by that Hakai energy. It was at this point that Vegeta started to lose the fight. Toppo began to overpower Vegeta, knocking him into a mountain, and then he charged up a non-Hakai giant death ball of energy, throwing it at Vegeta. Something interesting happened to Vegeta here as he began to remember his family and the promise he made to his pupil Kaba, and he was able to deflect that giant death ball of energy from Toppo with his ki alone. We've seen Vegeta get rage boosts similar to when Bulma was slapped by Beerus, and it's at this point that Vegeta flies in towards Toppo and changes the tide of the fight. Toppo tries to shoot more energy blasts at Vegeta, but the same thing happens. Vegeta's ki eats through that energy, almost as if Vegeta has Hakai himself. Now we know that Vegeta is not a god of destruction and he is not veiled in Hakai, but for whatever reason here, he is able to start cutting through Toppo's energy attacks. That's when Belmod tells Toppo to start Hakaiing everything, just destroy all of his attacks, and Toppo starts charging up a flurry of Hakai energy balls and shoots them at Vegeta. And this is when something very, very interesting happened with Vegeta. He charges up his aura into his fist and is somehow able to punch through and break apart that Hakai energy. Even Toppo can't believe it, as Hakai energy until this point was seemingly the strongest energy and it was indestructible. Vegeta was able to break through the Hakai energy and starts hurting Toppo severely. How was Vegeta able to do this? How was he able to negate or at least destroy God of Destruction energy, which is supposed to erase anything it touches, and simply power through it? Does Vegeta have some level of God of Destruction energy in himself? Does his new form somehow have the ability to cut through energy? Or was it simply because Vegeta was so much stronger than Toppo that the Hakai did not work, and the Hakai only works on enemies who are weaker than its user? The answer is the later of the three, as Vegeta says, "I'll give you an attack that is too powerful to destroy." Hakai energy only works on opponents who are weaker than its user, and Vegeta was way too strong, far stronger than Toppo, so much so that the Hakai technique wouldn't work on him, and Vegeta simply was able to overpower it, while other opponents would get vaporized. As Vegeta's final explosion clashed with Toppo's God of Destruction Hakai energy, the Hakai did actually start to eat the final explosion at one point, and you can see here the Hakai death ball starts to consume the final explosion, and you think for a minute that Vegeta might lose, but then Vegeta dumps the rest of his power into the final explosion, making it so powerful that it breaks through the Hakai energy and eliminates Toppo. Zamasu was erased by Beerus because he was so weak. The stronger you are, the less of a chance of you actually getting erased when you touch Hakai. The gap between the power of Toppo and Vegeta was so great that the Hakai basically had no effect on Vegeta. He is so much stronger than Toppo, arguably stronger than any other God of Destruction at this point. Vegeta really got his moment in this episode and proved to us that he could give Beerus a run for his money. Now, to play devil's advocate, there is one giant counter argument, and that's that Toppo can't kill anyone, so he probably had to weaken his Hakai just so he didn't kill Vegeta or Frieza. I think that makes a lot of sense, but at the same time, it was pretty clear that at the end of the episode, Toppo was very desperate and probably dumped all of his energy into that final Hakai-verse final explosion clash and still lost. And the reason he lost is because Vegeta's energy and power are so much stronger than Hakai, and Hakai only works on weaker opponents. I think this also explains why, even though Toppo was veiled in God of Destruction energy, and in episode 125, Gohan said that if you punch Toppo, you will end up like this erased rock, meaning you can't hit him with physical attacks, Vegeta was still able to do that in episode 126 because Vegeta's power was so much higher than Toppo that God of Destruction Hakai energy could not hurt Vegeta. After episode 59 with Zamasu getting erased and episode 91 with Sidra erasing an entire city, we thought that anything the Hakai touches would get completely vaporized. But after this latest episode of Dragon Ball Super, we have realized that this is not the case and that the Hakai actually has some limitations. Limitations that were outside the realm of Vegeta, and Vegeta was simply way too strong for Toppo in the end. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you leave a thumbs up, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll be seeing you tomorrow with another Dragon Ball video.